Get the Hillman Morning Show on demand. Podcasts and more are always online and on your schedule at WAAF.com.
The doctor is here. Come on over. We're going to put you right over here on this microphone right here. Get that set up right in front of you. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Dr.
How are you?
Shiva.
Shiva Ayyadurai. I adore you, but you can just say Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai.
Now, you called the show one time.
I did. I called when I was distributing flyers down at the T in the morning.
Yes. Now, listen, you're running against Elizabeth Warren, and Cambridge is up in your grill about your bus and the message on your bus.
That's right.
And the message on the bus is...
Only a real Indian can defeat the fake Indian.
Okay. And what is Cambridge saying about this? I mean, did they forget that there's I guess free speech?
They forgot the First Amendment, and they forgot
it only applies to certain people.
It only applies to them. It only applies to them.
If you want to say something negative,
if you want to say something against Trump, if you want to say something against cops, if you want to say Black Lives Matters, okay.
Yeah, that's
By the way, which I also believe. You know?
Yeah.
Black lives do matter.
Yeah.
But certain political things are okay, but not the kinds of political things they disapprove of.
Yeah.
So it's basically an elitist model of free speech.
And so what did they tell you about your sign on the bus?
Look, I own this building. I've owned it for nearly 20 years. No, it's not on the building. I've owned a building. I pay $75,000 in property taxes, but it's not on the building. There's no signage on the building. It's on a school bus that a bunch of young kids and local citizens refurbished for our campaign. Now, what's really egregious about this is nearly a year ago, we had a sign that said Shiva for Senate, be the light. Then we changed it to Shiva for Senate, fight for America. And then literally a month ago, before the St. Patrick's Day parade, we changed the sign to only the real Indian can defeat the fake Indian. That's when we get the. That's when we get the.
By the way.
Yeah, that's when we get the fine.
And you got a fine, and you were
$300 a day. No, they said they're going to start fining us $300 a day if we don't take down these slogans.
Who said that?
This is a building inspector of Cambridge.
What's his name?
Brendan Vignault. Brendan.
So Brendan came over and said it's a $300 fine a day.
And he sent a letter. An official letter on April 5th. And this is how insidious the city is. You see, the way they work is basically they scare people, right? Most people will walk away.
Yeah.
But if you don't do anything and you don't respond, they'll hit you with a fine later on.
Yeah.
My campaign manager, Mike Mosca, wrote to them and he said, please let me know exactly what sections of the building ordinance for violating. Nothing back from them. So I have excellent attorneys, and our attorney said, look, this is a setup. You need to sue them in federal court because this is really violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So, and it's a violation of the Massachusetts Constitution. So that's what's going on.
Ridiculous. I
well,
can't believe
thank God we got Larry Army.
We got another lawyer over here.
You need he's the Dalai Lama.
All right, we need a lot of lawyers.
So,
just not in Congress.
You're not going to pay the.
No, we're not going to pay the money. In fact, we're going to get more buses.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Way to work, kid.
Now, Shu had a question for you because I mentioned during a break that I wanted to try to see if we could get you to talk about this. What was your question, Mark?
So you invented email.
I invented the world's first email system. This is not Al Gore. This is a 14-year-old American kid in Newark,
amazing.
New Jersey.
This is incredible.
This is the facts of it. And it's an American story. Look, innovation just doesn't occur at MIT or Silicon Valley. The best innovations occur outside. Everyone over the age of 40 remembers the old inter-office mail system. Remember inbox, outbox folders. The secretary write a thing called a memo.
Yeah.
To, from, subject with carbon paper. It's a very complex system, right? I converted that entire system, wrote 50,000 lines of code as a 14-year-old kid, called it email, a term never used before in the English language. And a few years later, I got the first U.S. copyright at a time when that was the only way to protect software. There's no controversy here. The only controversy got created when it went into the Smithsonian 30 years later. It was like a new skull was found in Africa. And you know who freaks out? All the liberal guys who claim they want to help people like me. Right? Because they, it was fine when I was at MIT. I was a good Indian, right? Doing all these other things, winning awards. But when I said email was done before I came to MIT, and I'm not talking about simple text messaging. I didn't invent electronic messaging.
Right.
We're talking about email, the system as we all know and use today. That was done by a 14-year-old American kid in Newark, New Jersey, just like TV was invented by a 14-year-old kid in Franklin, Idaho. You see, this comes down to this whole elitist model.
Yeah.
The elites want to make us think that you got to go to MIT or you got to go to Silicon Valley, and then you become an intellectual giant. Well, the reality is there's a lot of smart people in this country, and that's basically what our campaign's about.
Yeah, there's a lot of smart people who have
a lot of smart people.
And you know what?
And they don't get given the chance. In fact,
they have common sense. By the way,
they have common sense. They're street smarts,
and they're not Harvard educated.
You don't need to be. Harvard, by the way, is a fake university. It's a $40 billion hedge fund. Seriously,
wow.
It's a $40 billion hedge fund that made they get donations and they invest it on Wall Street. That's how Elizabeth Warren gets funded, and no one wants to talk about this.
Yeah. Now, do you believe that she will submit to any kind of a DNA test?
I sent her. I was the one who pioneered the DNA testing on her. I sent her 3 DNA test kits. She refused all of them, and then finally the Berkshire Eagle, which is a far left newspaper which endorsed her, said, hey, why doesn't she take Dr. Ayyadurai's DNA test?
Yeah.
She's not going to subject herself to it because the fact is they want to subject everyone else to testing except themselves, right? Yeah. They like to cut in front of line. And that's what this is really about. You know, I came from New Jersey, where you don't cut in front of line. You play by the rules. These people learn how to cut in front of line and essentially then rewrite the rules.
Yeah.
And for the record, Hoboken. Insane, awesome.
LB likes
I grew up in Patterson, Clifton, Parsippany, all great places, great people.
Well, Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai.
Ayyadurai. It's Italian.
We'll know it when you win. We'll know it when you win.
Well, we're going to win. Remember, only a real Indian can defeat the fake Indian.
And you're not gonna take the sign off the bus. In fact, you're going to add more signs.
No, we're going to add more signs. And by the way, anyone who wants to sign, please, give $200. We'll send you a magnetic sign for your vehicle.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we also have T-shirts coming out. Only the real Indian can defeat the fake Indian.
Do you have a website?
We do. Shiva 4 Senate, SHIVA numeral 4 Senate.com, and give us lots of money if you want. But we don't really need the money. We just need more volunteers on the ground. Money's only good as the volunteers on the ground.
On the website, does it say email me? I invented it, because that's what I would do. I would say, go ahead, email me. I invented email.
I'm going to change that. We say inventor of email. I said, email me. I invented it. We'll change that right away.
I think you should do that. All right. Well, listen.
Thanks for having us on.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're here. Next, we'll have you come back in and talk a little bit more.
Sure.
Because you probably know this, but I have to cut a deal for an endorsement. Like, for instance, the governor is in here once a month, only show that he shows up. Well, he doesn't public radio, Jim and Marjorie. But comes in here every month because we cut a deal with him so that the listeners benefit. So I want to cut some kind of an endorsement deal with you so the listeners will vote for you. And we'll do dinner with them down at the Senate, the dining room or something.
I'll make them a dinner. I'll make them a real Indian dinner.
You'll make a real Indian dinner.
Real Indian dinner.
Okay, real Indian dinner.
And I just respect that you're here and, elephant in the room. No one respects my intelligence because I didn't go to Harvard.
You don't need to go to those places. Yeah. MIT was lucky to get me. I was educated before I went there. That's what these universities do. Right. They get smart people and then they give them some sheepskin, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a scam.
Well, keep the sign up. Don't let Cambridge win, and we'll keep the pressure on. And it's
great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming by.